So, welcome back to Manufacturing Matters, Jackson. This is a deeper dive, continuing on our conversation with Lomar, Ron, and Becky. So, thank you for being our guests today. I want to dive right in to, like, we just watched the video as we recorded the show, and we kind of talked about the coolest thing that you had worked on. As I was looking through your website and from our past visits, I saw a lot of services that you guys offer, and one of the things I saw in there was private label manufacturing. I would love to kind of hear about what you're doing with that business.
Well, the private label is, as I said earlier, the crimp machines that we're producing for Danfoss now. That's considered the private label manufacturing. We're producing them and putting the Danfoss name on them. A lot of that, and there's a lot of that work that's around Jackson or around the U.S. and we can see a lot of growth in that going forward. We've proven ourselves that we can, we can do it, and so yeah, we're expecting a lot of growth in that.
That's interesting, because when I think of private label manufacturing, we have food producers here, in that food and beverage industry. And when I think of private label, I generally think of somebody who's making a food product or something like that. I guess I never thought about private labeling and making machinery for somebody as well. But obviously it totally makes sense. But that was something interesting I saw. So.
Mm-hmm. So before the show started, we were talking about Rosie Day that is happening today in Lansing, celebrating women in manufacturing. Becky, do you want to talk a little bit about what it's like to be a woman in manufacturing and your experience?
Sure. It's funny. We were just at a trade show Monday, and we had at least 3 different people come up. It was myself there and one of our lead welding. She does all of our quoting and stuff, and she's just so knowledgeable and so passionate about the industry. We had at least 3 people come up and just comment on, it's so nice to see women really knowing their stuff and, proponents of the industry. So I think things like that really show that things are changing. Women are in leadership roles. We're definitely, this might be one of those moments where we can take out. I'm trying to think of, I don't know, could I redo that? I'm sorry.
You can.
Yeah.
I feel like this thing keeps falling on me as well.
We have the ability to edit. So
okay, perfect.
That's it. We're not live, so we're good. So,
okay.
You want to ask the question again, or do you want to start from there, or do you just want to?
Sure, yeah, we can just start fresh, make it easier for whoever's editing, I guess.
Okay.
Thank you.
So before the show, we were talking about how I'm going to leave here and go up to Lansing to celebrate Rosie Day, which is celebrating women in manufacturing. Becky, would you like to talk about what it's like to be a woman in manufacturing and your experience?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you for doing the Rosie's Day. Definitely a big event. I just wanted to share on Monday and Tuesday we were in Chicago for a trade show. It was myself and our our welding fabrication lead. Her name is Jenna, and she's been in the industry for at least 20 years, and she is so knowledgeable and so passionate. She was able to answer any question of those who came up to our booth. And so seeing kind of that changing tide and having people on the trade show floor come up and just comment on how refreshing it is to see women leading and moving that forward is just always refreshing to see things changing.
I think it's interesting because, like, when I look around and I think about the manufacturing that we have here in Jackson County, we have a lot of manufacturing, the women in large roles. We had Kathy on in our podcast last year from Eaton, right? And I think she had ran Factory Zero for GM. Those are big deals, big things that had a lot of eyes on them. And so I think it's great. And obviously my co-host here that runs our manufacturing association. So I think it's awesome, and it's very forward of our community. My wife is also in manufacturing and is working a trade show in Houston next week, and same thing, right? People are excited to see somebody. She sells industrial blasting abrasive, right? So probably not a traditionally female-dominated industry, right? So I think it's awesome. When you look at the business, where do you see the growth opportunities for Lomar? I mean, some of the stuff you've been building for 50 years, right? But like, what are those opportunities you see, and where does Lomar fit into that?
You gonna jump into that, or?
Sure. So a lot of our opportunities, we're finding just different markets. When we have a customer come in that has always bought an N-form machine for us, they'll walk in and they'll see all these other capabilities that we can do. And so I think our passion for the customer and being able to do anything that they need has really kind of been our core value, kind of what has drove Lomar into being this one-stop shop. And I feel like that's a really unique place for Lomar. So the markets we can get into are kind of endless, what we're finding. You know, we can do something for NASA, we can do something for our neighbor, the school, our local farmer.
Yeah, there is a ton of opportunity out there right now, and we are finding with as there's, like Becky said, there's a lot of people in Jackson that don't understand or know what we do out there in Horton. I mean, we're this close, but yet they're fighting their problems, and you don't have a tendency to catch up. Hopefully these podcasts will start bringing some people together. I mean, because there is a lot of things that go on that could be done together and could make a lot better advancements out there.
That's our hope.
There you go. So
I want to touch a little bit on, just because workforce development is a lot of what JAMA does now today. So let's talk about how you guys are using workforce development and getting kids interested in manufacturing.
Yeah, it's crucial for us. I mean, we're a 50-year-old company, which everybody was 20-year-old when we started out, and now those 20-year-olds are much older. And with it, I mean, they've put their time in, they're out enjoying the retirement, but it's just creating some massive holes back at Lomar from all this experience that we've ran into out there. Is all of a sudden it's come time that they're ready to go out and enjoy, and which leaves us back there trying to fill in that. So retirements are there was a time not too long ago where we'd have a retirement one every 5 years, and now we're having 5 a month. I mean, well, maybe not quite that bad, but 26, I bet we'll have 5 retirements in this year. And they're, because they've been with us so long, they're not, they're upper level. They're management. They're the ones that had spent a lot of time on the floor, and they're key people that we're losing. And again, that we need to bring the young talent in. And we've always focused on the JAMA training programs, apprenticeship programs, and they need to be more than ever. We need to focus in on those and looking for various any changes or any structures there that we can.
We've also got good partnerships with the schools. So we've got a lot of students that come through and tour, and for most of these kids, is their first time in the shop, seeing a part turn from a square block into something, and that's always really cool to show them. We've been supporting the Jacktown robotics team. They just came in. We helped them machine out some tool carts, I believe it was. We powder coat painted them bright purple. They're really beautiful. It's their team colors. And then they came in and assembled it. So they were well into the process, and we got to expose them to a machine shop. So those things are really cool.
And it's awesome that I think one of the strengths of Jackson County, right, is, I kind of referenced my co-host earlier, but right, you have those schools, you've got those opportunities, and you as a company are willing to go out and make those relationships. But you've got JAMA, you've got the Shop Rat Foundation, we've got the ISD, we've got superintendents in our school systems who get it, right, and understand what Jackson County is and how we're made. So I think that's it's just awesome, right? You also, I love that you were touching on the age of your workforce. I'm guessing, I would be curious what the average tenure of your workforce is. Like how long on the average employee has been with your company?
I think we're running around 18 years now.
That's amazing.
But yeah, and this year we've had a couple people that are in there 30 year, 40 years. I mean, had one gentleman that was 43 years that just retired this year. And so, they're ones that's been with us, from the 70s. And like I said, so we're working with that. We're trying to bring people up, but we've traditionally, every time that the economy takes a downturn, you keep your long-term employees, the younger ones that are just, we seem to lose out on them. And so we're back into the rebuild now, and wishing that COVID and the slowdowns, through the years, we could have kept the same building of the talent at that time. So
yeah. I've got one more question. I don't know.
Go ahead.
So, the other thing I'm curious about for the business is, since you've been around for so long and making some of the same kind of machinery that you were making 50 years ago, how big of a piece of your business, or is it a piece of your business? I mean, I assume there are companies out there that bought a piece of machinery from you 30 years ago, and it has worked great for them for 30 years. How big of a piece, or is it a piece of your business for that refurbishment if somebody wants to do a rebuild because they want that same machine that has worked so reliably for them for a generation?
yeah, and we do. We run into it quite often, where they do bring it back. These crimp machines, there's crimp machines that we built in like 83 that they're returning to us constantly to be, refurbished in different items on that. And it's amazing. You get some of them that look like they've been through 30 years of manufacturing, and you'll get one that looks like maybe it was never used. It's just amazing to see the different ones as they return back there. So,
And being in the automotive industry, sometimes we'll find where we'll have a big piece of equipment and they'll change the body style of the car or what have you, and we'll just take out that component and switch it to meet the new body style. So we can retrofit, we can make sure it lasts for decades.
Well, and I think that kind of thing, and having that relationship and that service, I think it's a testament to the business, right? The longevity of the business. And I think there's also something to be said for when a customer can call back and the same guy that sold that to them, there's a good chance that person is still there and can say, oh yes, I remember what we did that. You can't make that up, right? No. That's just something you have to build for a long time. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Ron, Becky, thank you for joining us on Manufacturing Matters Jackson. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing the history of Lomar.
Well, thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.